girls, welcome to my YouTube video. This is going to be another sort of catch up of some of the stuff I've been reading lately, and it's been a lot. It's been like, let's be honest, a whole month since my last one of these, so my descriptions of all of these books, they may not be amazing, but we'll see. We'll go through it all. The first thing I've got on here is the Iliad by Homer, which is a sort of retelling of the War of Troy. It's a Greek kind of story, turned from a poem into a full novel. Then I've got The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. Yes, I read all of them in one afternoon. I read a lot of books, okay? It's a story about some people who find this other land, another world. Time works differently, animals can talk, and they just have lots of adventures. And there are some religious undertones. None of it's really offensive, so you can read it without noting any religious undertones, but they're there. Then I read The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart, and I absolutely love this one. It's a fantasy wherein magic is sort of created through bone shards, and you create these entities who will do things for you. And I just thought it was a really amazing concept. There's sort of an overthrowing the people in power, which was also super interesting. I just really love that story. Then I read a collection of Grimm's fairy tales, because I know the basic ones, but I want to know about the obscure ones too, because I don't know, I'm a bit of a nerd for fairy tales and myths and folklore and so on. Then this one's a non-fiction one, The Element Encyclopedia of Secret Signs and Symbols by Adele Nozadar. It's pretty much what it says it is. It just explains what different symbols are, where they come from, and some different magical associations. Then I read The Penelopiad by Margaret Atwood, which is a Greek retelling by Margaret Atwood. I thought I'd give her a last try because I love The Handmaid's Tale, but other writings that I've read from Margaret Atwood I haven't enjoyed as much. I mean, I enjoyed this one. The Handmaid's Tale is, of course, still my favourite though. Then I read The Puffin Book of Big Dreams, which was a short anthology that I read on an ebook. And then I read Spellslinger by Sebastian de Castell. I think I'm going to do a separate video on the Spellslinger series because I absolutely loved it. I've read the first 3 books in this series now, each within this past month, and I've absolutely loved it. I don't want to give any spoilers, so I'll just tell you what the premise of the first book is. There is this society, and there are some people who are born with magic and some people who are not. And it follows this guy whose father is kind of in charge, and he has very powerful magic. His sister has very powerful magic, but his magic is not very strong, so he has to try and make up with it with charm and being clever and so on. And it follows his story as he meets a travelling lady who people suspect is a traitor, but we don't actually figure out whether she is. And this sassy little animal called a squirrel cat that I absolutely adore. And it follows these adventures that these 3 characters get up to. And it's a really, really fun series. I love it. Then I read Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. I really enjoyed it. Knife of Never Letting Go. I thought it was alright. Clockwork Prince. I liked it. Not quite as much as the first book in the trilogy, but it was still good. A Little Life I loved, but for some reason didn't cry to, and that's a book that most people cry to. Ramesa I absolutely loved. It's a sort of feminist fairy tale retelling, and it's sort of Islam centric, which is super interesting and you never usually see in retellings of more Western fairy tales. The Vault by Emily Mackay. I enjoyed it. It was a vampire novel that sort of panned out like you'd expect a zombie novel to, which was interesting. Then I read Orphans of the Storm, which is a historical story. I didn't really vibe with it. It isn't my sort of story, but if that's your typical genre, then I feel like it matches what it says perfectly. Then A Place Called Perfect by Helena Duggan. And this book made me fall back in love with middle grade novels. It's about this girl who moves into a town called Perfect with her parents, where everything is perfect except everyone wears glasses. And we find out that this town isn't necessarily as perfect as it seems, and the main character is trying to resist the sort of control that the people of this town have over her and her parents, and it's a great story. I just loved it. Then I read How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. I think it's pretty clear what this is about. Someone tries to stop time. Yeah, I can't actually remember much of this book, but I remember enjoying it. So that's good. Some books I just have a terrible memory with. Then I read The Shadow Black by Sebastian de Castell, which is the second book in the Spellslinger series that I mentioned earlier. Then I read The Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham, which is a sort of apocalyptic story where caused by these sort of supernatural plants called triffids, and this guy wakes up one day and suddenly, because of these plants, everyone except him and a few others has become blind. And you find out that society is not necessarily made for blind people, and so it's a struggle to keep society going. Then I read Diary of a Nobody by George and Eden Grossmith. It was alright. It was pretty standard diary, I suppose. So I just thought it was okay. And then I read Charmcaster, which is the third book in the Spellslinger series. And finally, I've tried to say all of these books really quickly. I read Rise and Shine by Patrick Allington, which is a dystopian in which everyone is forced to start their day off with some traumatic photo or video footage. And that is how they cope as a society. They're prolonging this war that's going on for the prospect of peace, and the two places which are at war don't actually dislike each other. The leaders are actually friends, and the only reason they're keeping this war going ahead is so that they can film it and sort of feed people with this footage. So those were books that I have read since my last wrap-up video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again for another video soon. Bye.